And so it all comes down to this, and that's just the way we'd hoped it would be. Last race, last weekend, and last chance to be a champion in 2012, and the elements are ensuring the road to the top will be tough. It's the 10th and final round of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series. Welcome to Championship Weekend at Lime Rock Park. Yes, it's a wet and cool northwestern Connecticut that greets us for this season finale, and it's the first and last time that we will see split classes. Today is all about ST or Street Tuner. They have the track to themselves. This is going to be exciting. Hi folks, Lee Diffie, Dorsey Schrader, Calvin Fish with you for this season-ending round. And Cal, when you look at the state of play in the championship, it's the haves and have-nots. If you're Derek Whitus and Tom Long from Freedom Autosport, you have the championship lead. For Pierre Klein-Newbing and for Andy Lally, you do not. So for those guys from Freedom Autosport atop the standings, it might be easy from the outside looking in to say, hey, go out there, be calm, don't do anything silly, and you're going to be champions. But it's easier said than done, right?
Well, particularly here at Lime Rock Park, Lee. This is tight, it is tough, it is a bull ring of a racetrack. Things happen here in a hurry. So for those championship leaders, if they were to bobble either on pit lane, have a problem, out on the racetrack, gets wet here today, get stuck in that wet grass, for example, you can go down a lap or two in a hurry here. So another thing is the strategy of this race. Think about the chasers here, Klein-Newbing and Lally. Their starting drivers do not need to score championship points here today. Those teams could decide to pull those guys before the 30-minute mark. That could be significant here today, Dors.
And you got to look at the conditions here today and what that actually means. You know, we've had rain constantly since early this morning. Everything's soaking wet. You look at Derek Whitus and Tom Long, they're in a Mazda MX-5. That's rear-wheel drive. Their competitors behind them are in front-wheel drive cars. Pierre Klein-Newbing and both the Kia guys have front-wheel drive. We'll have to see which configuration can be used to the best advantage today.
Good point, Dawson. Let's not forget 33 cars in the ST class. Let's take you to the standings and simplify things. What is required for Derek Whitus and Tom Long from Freedom Autosport to be champions? 6th place in this race will do it. They've got a handy 11-point buffer at the moment, but they'll be keeping a watchful eye on that rearview mirror, looking for Pierre Klein-Newbing. And standing by with the Brazilian is Chris Neville. Chris?
Yeah, Lee, it was definitely sunnier days at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca a couple weeks ago for Pierre Klein-Newbing. Going into that race, he had an 18-point lead, but because of an axle failure and a 25th finish that day, now an 11-point deficit in this championship. But the interesting thing is these two Mazdas up front. Your competition, a lighter weight rear-wheel drive car, you guys a heavier car, turbo-powered front-wheel drive. What's going to do better on this short track in the rain?
I sure hope my car does. That's what I'm hoping for the race. I think we have a good shot, you know, but it's in their hands now. We need a little bit of luck, and hopefully we'll have that today.
Well, he's also got a teammate, first time at Lime Rock, so he's got a lot on his shoulders. Brian?
Well, Chris, Lee said earlier, for Tom Long and Derek Whitus, the win at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca may have been the biggest win of their career, and Tom Long, maybe so. You know how quickly the winds of fortune can change. So when you come here, one race to go, the championship on the line, do you change anything, or is it business as usual, even though there's a championship that hangs in the balance?
Yeah, you're exactly right. You just got to keep doing what we've been doing all year. These Freedom Autosport boys have been awesome all season. Derek's been doing a great job in the car. He's been starting real strong up front again today. So, like you said, we just got to keep on firing all cylinders and keep that zoom up front for today, and we'll see how it ends up.
Any way you look at it, guys, front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, there are championships at stakes. It is going to be a barn burner, even in the wet, Lee.
And that's why, Brian, we like the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series so much, because of the unpredictable nature of it. Dors, it's time to take a closer look at the Kia track map. Tell us about Lime Rock.
Lime Rock is a bull ring, no doubt about it. With a 1.5 miles of racetrack here in 7 corners, it's extremely fast. Now, one thing that's different, you see up here at the 5A, 5B, it's actually a straight line now. We're doing the uphill jump. It's something I've always loved here, without question, about this racetrack. It'll be fast and furious.
The Kia starting grid will roll through at the top of your screen, so you can see where your favorite drivers are, or those who you're interested in. Meanwhile, Cal, we need to look at some important numbers on the Continental Tire race analysis. As we said, this is the one and only time this year that Grand Sport and Sport Touring have been split.
That's right, Lee. 33 starting cars here. All ST, the big brothers, the GS machines, will run in another race, and that will be significant. Not so much strategy with those, but the conditions here, the tightness of the racetrack, how quick this place is, will all play into it today.
Time to take a look at the onboards. Did I just make a new class too, by the way? I said Sport Touring instead of Street Tuner. There's a first for everything there. But anyway, you know what we're talking about. This is a highly competitive class, and out of the two classes, this one has the higher numbers this weekend. We've got onboards on both the Kia Forte Coupes for you and both Freedom Autosport Mazda MX-5s. They are starting by championship point order. That's why Derek Whitus is left of screen on the pole. Pierre Klein-Ubing's 31 machine with Jason Clooney behind the wheel, right alongside. Tippy-toe, boys, this is going to be crazy. It's the season finale, and here we go.
Bump draft for second place already as they're pushing each other down into turn one. Watch the flare down here.
You really want the lead here in these conditions. The spray will be atrocious here, so you're trying to get to the front. Derek Whitus from the pole takes it. Matthew Pombo doing a great job in the number 10 Kia as well.
I like the way everybody's being cautious. They have to be. Look at the conditions on the track. This is pretty wild stuff.
They did run here this morning in some practice sessions in similar conditions, so they've had a chance to feel out the racetrack, but with this much traffic out there, Dorsey, different ball game.
Yeah, the whole key, stay on the asphalt. You get off here, you're either going to hit something right away because the barriers are close in, or you're going to get stuck in a lake because there's a lot of them around here.
See the 56 orange and black BMW. We have not spoken about that car nor its drivers yet. They are still mathematically in this championship. That's Jesse Coombs behind the wheel of the race epic Murillo BMW. They're fourth in the championship standings. They can still do it as well.
They can, but they would need a win here today. That's their only hope, and they would need Whitus and Long to finish below 30th position in this 33 car field. That is a long shot.
And look at Derek Whitus. I'm really impressed. Again, rear-wheel drive configuration on that car. I would think the front-wheel drives would have a bit of an edge, but he pulled a little bit of a length in just that first lap.
Well, he was so committed to winning this championship that a week ago he came here to Lime Rock, did extra laps. He did a national race meeting in a Spec Miata and just got more valuable track time. Wanted to make sure he knew Lime Rock Park inside and out, even though he's raced in the Continental Tire Series here before.
And he won here. Oh, look at Matthew Pombo there, getting really sideways there, coming through the left-hander, catches it.
See, a rear drive car would have spun just then. He would have never have gotten that back. He was able to get it back because the front wheels pulled it back straight again.
Just jump on the gas pedal and it pulls it straight, but still a great catch.
It's the 81 of Levine as we climb aboard the Kia Forte Coupe for Kinetic, and this is Matt Pombo.
Great to see his brother Mark here this weekend, recuperating from his massive shunt at Road America earlier this season. Here's the catch, Dors.
It's a good one, too, no question about it. Gets really sideways now, gets on the throttle, pulls it straight back in line again. The front-wheel drive has that advantage.
It's a Lee Diffie move there.
Yeah. Well, not the follow-up.
Yeah,
the beginning.
the first part, then it continues normally.
Check out how busy he is inside. Watch the catch.
Hear the throttle. Stabbing the throttle to straighten it out there, Doors.
He went full throttle and backed it off. You saw him straighten the wheel out and got traction again, and on he goes.
Pressure on Jason Clooney here. Look at this.
And a little Robbie dub.
The race epic Murillo BMW. That's good work from Jesse Coombs.
It really is. A lot of pressure on Jason Clooney right now. He's just trying to keep it clean, I'm sure, and turn it over to Pierre Klein-Ubing to try and take this championship.
No room on this racetrack for a lot of error, guys. I mean, you see the guardrail right there on the outside as they climb the uphill. There's some trouble. Front-wheel drive will get him out of there. If that had been a rear drive car, again, more than likely would be stuck.
That is the team owner, Glenn Bacchino, for i-MOTO Racing.
Just see how slippery it is right there. The front tires just really doing everything they can to try to get a little grip in that wet grass.
Key is any incline or camber to the nature of that off-road section. You're just going for a ride. Hard to get it back on, but looks like he's okay.
Big mover early in this race. Look for the blue and yellow BMW, the Bimmerworld machine. For that team principal as well, James Clay in the 80 machine. He and Greg LeFou, John Capestro Dubets, I apologize, his regular co-driver, are 6th in this championship. So to be top 5, these guys know what it's like to vie for a championship. They narrowly missed it a couple of years ago. To be top 5 will be a nice way to end this championship. So that's what James Clay's trying to do in that 80 machine.
Yeah, that would be a nice boost to them and carry some momentum into next year. Obviously, they're not looking at the top 3, but came so close. That situation they were talking about where they had that heartbreaking failure at Salt Lake City a couple of years ago. But really come back strong this year now, really focusing on the ST class rather than running the GS cars as well.
And the big boasting point for Bimmerworld, the Virginia team, is that they won at the Brickyard, and that was with Seth Thomas and Daniel Rogers. They were able to kiss the bricks.
You know what else they won today? They won $5,000 of free fuel for next year from Sunoco, who put a prize up, and they were the recipient of a $5,000 free fuel for the race car for next year.
That helps the racing budget, doesn't it?
Yep.
Race leader is the championship leader. Things looking good for this man here. Freedom Autosports, Derek Whitus, Tom Long, his regular co-driver, standing by to take over. Look at the concentration. We welcome you back to Lime Rock Park, and we have a new race leader. It is the 56 Race Epic Murillo Racing BMW of Jesse Coombs. He has been doing a really solid job, as he may have dropped a wheel there just as he rounds up Dinah Weisberg. He reeled in Derek Whitus, and this is where he made the lead for the move down into turn 1.
The very safest place to pass on the racetrack, right down the straightaway. Get it done before the turn in for turn 1, no drama.
You can see our championship leader there, Derek Whitus, was not making it tough on him. He realizes the big picture right now. He doesn't want to fight Jesse Coombs. Yes, if Coombs opened the championship and he is him, he got the point by. Just go for it, mate. I'm just sitting here counting down the laps.
That's a smart way to do business right there. He's going to run his pace and his pace only. And I like the hand signal, too. That gives both of them confidence. They both know what's going on.
Well, look behind him, Dorsey, other than a lapped car. There's nobody in his rearview mirror because Matt Pombo and also the other championship car with Jason Clooney in it, both have lost positions. We're under yellow for the first time, and look at this. It's for the Riley Mazda.
In the wall on the downhill, I believe, you're going to find, not quite sure, not too sure where that's at yet.
So the brothers Riley.
That's West Bend.
Local boys based here in Connecticut, so they'll be disappointed with the situation they currently face.
That's not West Bend. You know where that is? That's the entrance to the right-hander. So he got loose coming out of the left-hander and ended up over there in the tire barrier. Looks like the exhaust might be torn off the back, too.
So other than this minor incident, it has been a relatively clean start to this race in very trying and testing conditions. Been a good move forward from David Levine. It's been a terrific surge forward from the sister Bimmerworld Machine 2 of James Clay. Let's check in at Bimmerworld. Here's Brian.
Gregory LaFouche just taking off the headset, listening to David Levine out there, and obviously the conditions, I'd say, treacherous, as I've got water running down my nose, even just standing here in the pits. What has David said on the radio? And these Bimmerworld BMWs look like they're moving towards the front.
The cars are definitely good. We're good under braking compared to the front-wheel drive cars, and it looks like we're a little bit faster on cold tires. Where the front-wheel drive cars looks like their rear tires takes a while to come in. So hopefully we can get an advantage there and see if we can move up closer towards the front.
That's what they're trying to do, and you heard him say it is absolutely treacherous out there, guys, and it's just going to depend really on how the conditions change throughout the day.
Well, that's a really good point right there about the rear brake the rear tire temperatures not coming up. On a front-wheel drive car, the rear tires don't carry any weight. Look at the spin under caution right at the front there. That's how slippery it is.
Wow.
A rear-wheel drive car, you know, you have the front-wheel drives are carrying where the motor is usually, and the rear wheels get the spin. But on a front-wheel drive car, it's all being done in the front, so the back tires don't do anything except drag along back there.
Yeah, they're just along for the ride. So in these conditions, when tire temperature is king, and it's not just wet here, it's very cold this weekend, which is definitely a factor.
That was Andrew Novich, incidentally, in the Compass 360, the slime-sponsored machine.
Now, maybe there's some strategy coming into play here. This is the 10 car. We talked about the fact that they did not need 30 minutes for Matt Pombo. They're not worried about him in the championship. They're going to use this to get Lally in, I believe.
Yep, there you go. Smart call.
Yeah, this is the sacrifice they can make. Also, the 31 car could do the same thing with Jason Clooney and Pierre Kleinubing. And I think with this short lap here, you have to play the yellows anyway. They're not going to increase their fuel window over the rest of the teams that stay out. And they've got that driver change done. And with these ST cars, they'll normally go about an hour 30 on fuel. In these wet weather conditions, You could probably stretch that to about 2, so a little bit of help. They could go the rest of the distance.
And driver fatigue won't be as bad because it's very cool outside. It's not hot in the race car. Plus, you're not pulling the G-forces you normally would in a dry situation either.
See the driver change here not going that smoothly. This is not the normal driver pairing. Nick Johnson is in Bahrain this weekend in a World Endurance Championship event, so Matt Pombo coming into play with Andy Lally, and this is how quickly it can go wrong.
He stalled it there too.
Clear. All clear, bud. Off.
All clear for Andy Lally, last year's NASCAR Sprint Cup Rookie of the Year, trying to become an ST champion in 2012. 23 laps down already here at Lime Rock Park. We welcome you back to the season finale. Separate races in the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge this weekend. This is the ST, the Street Tuner class. Looking at a good scrap going on here. A couple of BMWs, the 81 machine powering through the wet, and this has been a really interesting day. Let's bring you up to speed at what has gone down thus far. At the most recent restart, a little bit of chaos here. Michael Johnson gets tagged by Nick Mancuso in the Multimatic Focus and goes for a slide, and Mancuso was given a drive-through penalty for that. Now check this out.
Watch some argy-bargy here through turn 2. You see one of the Bimmer World cars in the mix, turns that Boxer around. The other Multimatic Focus involved James Guay. Everyone continues there, but look at this man, Red Odosky. You see that Freedom Autosport MX-5. He is a man on a charge right now.
He said, thanks, guys. And I'm having so much fun, I'm just going to style it up a little bit. I'm going to do some drifting doors.
Yeah, gets it crossed up, knows what to do about that, puts some opposite lock, little power, and away he goes.
He's having a ball. Then watch this, the outside move.
Wow. Got the grip. I think everyone slowed a little bit for that spinner on the inside, and he just took advantage and whistled around the outside. Beautiful.
Went around the outside of Chad McCumbee through the uphill, and see you later. This is our race leader, Jesse Coombs. Been well in control, no worries there. He's gone past David Levine in the 81 machine. That's not for position, that's a lap car down. The next one on the list is this man here, Derek Whitus, championship leader, second place in the race. Third is the Bimmerwell BMW coming into shot right there, and that is James Clay. Made good progress, but the biggest mover in the field has been the sister car to this one. It has been Rhett Odosky from 18th to 7th.
Well, he just weeded his way. Everybody's up in front of him crashing, and he just keeps the hammer down and just drives right through it like it was nothing to it.
I'll tell you what, those Freedom boys have done a beautiful job with the setup on these cars, Dorsey. We thought they may struggle a little bit with that rear-wheel drive. They are both flying. White is currently in second and holding charge there in terms of the championship lead, and these guys too are also looking really good in terms of Odosky and team.
With that race update that we just showed you, two, or I should say both, of the Multimatic Ford Focuses were involved in separate incidents. Let's go to that camp now. Here's Brian.
Well, Gunnar Jeanette, James Guay paired up in the 15. Do you want to talk good stuff first or bad stuff first?
Well, let's just say we haven't had the best of seasons with the Ford STR. We've been making good progress with the car. Unfortunately, the last couple of races, we've had a couple small mechanical issues that have taken us out while we've been running in good position. And I think James just had a run-in with some traffic that he was trying to avoid, and he got tagged and spun around. But it's just going to make my job, you know, a little bit more difficult, but that's why they pay me the mediocre bucks.
Now, this team has finished fourth twice this year. That's the good news, is that this car is being developed, and it is very strong. You just haven't had luck on your side. We just saw that.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's been working really hard. Ford's been coming to the table race after race with improvements, and it's been getting us closer to the grid. But you know, it's tough with a brand like Ford because they're just so used to winning that obviously we want to put the Focus STR in the winner's circle for the first time, and we're still going to try hard today.
Yeah, they'll be digging deep and see what they can come up with. Maybe deep is not the term I should use. It's pretty wet out here, Lee.
Yeah. Hey, and speaking of coming from the deep, John Weisberg in the Berg Racing Porsche has done an amazing job. He started well down the order in 31st, and guess what? He's even outdone Red Odosky. Weisberg is running in the 6th position. Drama for the 12.
Galati get turned around.
He's got the squeegee.
You just got to wonder whether I know the Kias are struggling a bit with visibility. We heard Matt Pombo on the radio earlier in the race saying, I can't really see, guys. And there you see Galati too.
We heard earlier on a little comical thing. He goes, which hand would you like me to steer with?
Michael's pretty good at waving his arms around, but even he's got too much to handle today.
Oh, there it goes.
course, the audio's not matching the picture. You saw him spin and kill the engine. He grabbed for the ignition switch to get it going. All this while holding on to the squeegee. Couple 360s.
That squeegee Dorsey's talking about, of course, trying to get better visibility. With more on that topic, here's Chris Neville.
Yeah, Lee, most of these drivers will say racing in the rain, probably the toughest thing, visibility out of the car. And we saw Mike Galati with the squeegee there. Now, in the Rolex series, teams have a lot more tools that they can use. A lot of those teams using heated fan units, also windshields that have a heating element that runs through the windshield to keep it warm. Talking to these teams, they say the best thing that they could probably do is run the AC unit or the heating core in these cars. However, they pull all that stuff out because of weight. So what these teams doing, you see the driver right there, Mike Galati using a little squeegee, other teams in pit lane on pit stops having to really get in the car and try and clean that windshield off.
Mike's all hung up in his drink bottle there. You saw he got wrapped up in the hoses. That's so frustrating, and he has, you know, he goes off pretty quick. What am I trying to say?
Certainly did, yeah.
You know, he was about to rip those wires out and get that squeegee. But this is frustrating. When you can't see, you can't do anything. I mean, it's just that simple. It doesn't make any difference how good a driver you are. If you can't see out the front of the car and you're looking out the side window to see where you're at, it's not pleasurable. We've all done it.
And it's dangerous out there. I mean, this is a tight racetrack, but it is high speed. They are reaching some pretty significant speeds around here, and when you can't see, that is not good news at all.
Super run from the 80. We just saw James Clay there. Meanwhile, Michael Galati still at work. Let's paint the picture of who is where as we enjoy this onboard. Jesse Coombs still leads over championship leader Derek Whitus. James Clay third. Jason Clooney in Pierre Klein-Newbing's car that he shares that car with is fourth. David Telenius for Compass 360 is fifth. John Weisberg in the Berg Porsche is sixth. Red Odosky, Mike Lamara, Chad McCumbee and Billy Johnson, the second Compass 360 Honda, is in 10th place. Andy Lally continues his charge. He is up to 12th. Remember that early stop? He took over from Matt Pombo. Is that championship strain on that face? You bet it is. Pressure is on. And we wish there was a little more sunshine like that, because it's pretty gloomy and tricky conditions here as we welcome you back to the season finale, the Champions Weekend at Lime Rock Park. Race leader Jesse Coombs well in control, just under 4 seconds out in front. Meanwhile, let's bring you up to speed. This is Ron Farmer going the wrong way.
Yeah, just gets wide there, gets in the dirt, tries to get it back on, and suddenly gets grip on that right side, turns him over the racetrack into the barriers. He continued though, and then a quick spin at the top of the hill. The 32 i-MOTO machine as well.
That's Izzy Sanchez.
No damage done there, no contact with anything, but this shows you just how slippery it is.
Oh, David Stelinius there getting pretty aggressive. That was lucky he didn't take someone out. Got away with that one.
So back to our race leader. And as we mentioned, well in control for Jesse Coombs, and Ken Murillo's team really doing a nice job here. His driver's doing a great job. Remember, we've only seen the first drivers, only for a couple of cars that have made very early driver changes, but this is Jesse Coombs doing a super job. Championship leader Derek Whitus is still in second. James Clay. John Weisberg in that Berg Racing Porsche Boxster is up to fourth from 31st. What an outstanding drive. Then David Telenius, Red Odosky, Jason Clooney, Mike Lamara, and Billy Johnson, who we just saw spin in the 77 there and get back on track. And then Andy Lally is in the top 10. Hey, Chris Neville, there's a couple of Compass 360 cars doing a really nice job out there.
Yeah, Carl Thompson's got one car up in the top 5 right now. And Carl, I know it's been a tough year. Looking back at the past 5 years, you guys have finished either first or second in the championship. This year, you guys have kind of got to break that streak. Been a challenging year. What was the challenge?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a pretty amazing streak to be first or second 5 years in a row, especially as close a series is. And actually, I mean, we're 6th and 7th this year, so it's not as though we're out of it, but you get used to having some level of expectation. The simple fact is that the competition in this series is phenomenal. We regularly see 1st to 15th covered by a second in qualifying, and the series is tremendous. So having said that, we knew that this year was going to be a development year. We're developing the new Honda Civic SI, the 2012 Coupe, which is a great car, and we've been working with Honda Performance Development out in California to make this a car that you can actually call up Honda and say, all right, I want to order the body in white, I want to order the parts kit, and I can build it myself at a reasonable price so we can get even more people coming and running in the series.
Yeah, so much of this series, we see these manufacturers trying to develop essentially a catalog car that you can call up, come out and compete, and Honda trying to do it and develop a car that you can really get out there and race for $50,000 to $80,000.
Yeah, it's a superb program, Chris, and my apologies to David Tillenius. I misspoke earlier. It was Billy Johnson who went for a ride there, going through turn 3, but the Compass 360 team are looking very strong here today.
Brian, how about the Freedom Autosport boys?
Well, you know, the rain makes you nervous whenever it comes down because it can create havoc. We've seen that on the racetrack already, but it can also create havoc with electrical systems. And right now, Derek White is reporting that he has a miss high in the RPM range in that Mazda MX-5, the number 25, running second right now and leading your championship. I talked to Tom Long. They do have another engine wiring loom down here that they went back to the trailer to get. Obviously, they don't want to replace it. And remember, horsepower is not your friend in the rain, so a little bit of a miss may not be a bad thing as long as it doesn't get worse. When they make this next pit stop, they will not change it unless it has gotten significantly worse, but it is a big concern for the Freedom Autosport team. We still have a long way to go.
Well, Brian, do you remember Justin and Townsend Bell's show this year, Shut Up and Drive? That's what Glenn Long should tell Derek Whitus because he's pulled almost a second out of the race leader, Jesse Coombs, so it's not hurting him too badly.
He's done an amazing job. Superb run, good clean start, took the lead, didn't fight when Jesse Coombs came up on his tail, and right now just managing this race superbly well.
That's what my old teammate Terry Ewell used to tell me. He'd say, are you complaining again?
Yeah.
What's the deal?
And did he use those words, shut up and drive?
No, he didn't use complaining either. But anyway, you know, it's amazing when you see that frontal shot of Derek in the car. And it's something I've always seen with racing. It's amazing that they don't blink. You're so much in concentration, your eyes are just looking for those focal points. Look at him here. He barely ever even blinks. He's looking for spots on the racetrack. He'll check his mirror here in a minute, make sure nobody's coming up from behind. I mean, he's completely in his element. It's something that's so fascinating to me to see.
And when you and Calvin and Chris and Brian were in that same situation, you didn't even realize you were doing it either.
No, I watched myself on camera like that before, and you know, you're just so completely tuned in to what you're doing.
This place is a really busy racetrack. This is a one-day event for these guys. I think it was a really smart move by Derek coming here a month ago, getting that race weekend under his belt. He knows the track well. He won here last year, but he wanted to get in tune with this racetrack. And right now, he's putting his car exactly where it needs to be.
What's neat, you look at his face, it's lacking in expression. You know, you don't see any drama, nothing going on. But if you could be inside his head right now, and you could understand all the thousands of processing thoughts that are going on right there, it is really amazing.
The other thing that this Freedom team has going for them, this morning in the rain, they took the 3 cars, the 25, the 26, and the 8, and they put 3 different setups on the 3 cars. So when you're running multiple programs, you've got that much more testing, and when it is a one-day event like you talked about, Calvin, those 3 cars are a huge advantage. That is what determined what setup they put on the 25. It does seem to be working.
Yeah, that's a great point, Brian. Really does allow you to evaluate the options in a very short space of racetrack time.
One thing I'm seeing, Calvin, is it's raining much, much harder right now, and the puddles are getting thick, and you're seeing Derek right now hit those puddles, and it's snatching that Mazda to the side. He's starting to show some sliding off the corners as it's getting really bad out there.
Starting to show some stress on his face, too.
And he's been looking in the rearview mirror to watch James Clay loom larger. Don't worry about that. A 6th place finish is going to give him the championship. We got so much to play, and conditions are getting tougher. You're not going to believe what happened while we're in the break. Just literally seconds ago, Jesse Coombs got tangled up in an awkward incident, and our race leader has been taken out of this race. He's also a distant championship contender. Watch this. He comes up on Dinah Weisberg. Boom.
But watch what happens. You guys go around the outside and gets clipped, sending the car into a spin, and unfortunately, it doesn't appear to be able to refire.
Oh, that was nice work there by the 80 of James Clay.
Right flat, right front. Yeah, right front is flat from the contact. He gets off the racetrack, which is smart, but then he gets stuck because of that flat tire. That left front's flat, too.
And there it is. Nothing has changed.
We talked about it, the slightest bobble here, you're going to lose a lap. There you can see the damage on the left front, which was the initial contact. Down into turn 1 as he went to the inside. It's hard for guys who are being passed, and girls for that matter, to see. Your visibility is 0. You look in the side view mirrors, you're not seeing anything. So when someone makes a move, you just got to factor in they are not seeing you.
Brings our second full course caution out, which they're going to have to go to get that car. And you saw it on the dash, the blinking yellow light.
It's going to be significant now. I think you're going to see all of our leaders pit with about an hour and 31 minutes to go on the board. But for guys like Johnson and Lally, they've already made a pit stop. The conjecture was, could they make it to the end in these wet conditions without a further stop? If they come in with the leaders, they will only need a much shorter fuel fill and should be able to leapfrog some guys if their teams decide to try and top them up.
So we see the 40 car, the Seckenberg Racing Porsche, off to the side. It's been a tough day for that car. However, for the sister car, the 50 car, and the husband of Dinah Weisberg, John Weisberg, Chris, it's been going beautifully.
Yeah, Lee, just spoke with that team, and wow, what a race that they've had. John having to start all the way at the back today, charging up to 4th. Eric Kern is going to be getting in that car soon. The team said really the biggest challenge out here is the visibility. They gained some track position on that first caution, so they, like you said, Calvin, probably going to be a little bit longer fill on this stop, but right now an impressive drive by that team.
This season, John, and in that 50 car, has had one result inside the top 20. Shows you how excited they would be. Here again, the incident involving John's wife and race leader Jesse Coombs.
And it was the second hit that did all the damage. Unfortunately, as the Porsche rolled back and hit the side, it punctured the front tire of the BMW, and of course we saw it go across the racetrack, get out of harm's way, and the tire went flat and they're stuck. And now our leader is Derek Whitus, and our championship leader as well, behind the pace car, which I'm sure he's really happy about because it was getting pretty ugly out there.
Yeah, you could see the stress starting to form on his face. The track was getting really ugly, and he's starting to feel a little bit of pressure from James Clay, but dodged another bullet there with the spin with the leader down in turn 1. He assumes the lead. You'd have to think they're going to do this driver change here. With an hour on the board, Derek will get points today. The car will get points. Now it's all about execution in terms of the car position at the end of the race.
Also see from his helmet and from his face before that it's raining inside the car as well as outside. It's getting up in his face now. There's Andy Lally. He's taking care of his squeegee and his windshield.
Now Andy has found a secure location for that squeegee, but Michael Gallardi could not. Michael was driving with it the whole time. He's still holding it.
Yeah, he's not going to let go of it because he had a horrible time getting it out there. Got hung up in the hoses that you see there.
Yeah.
And he decides he'd rather have the confidence of being able to hold on to it than not.
Here we go. There are going to be pit stops everywhere. Tom Long is standing by to take over from Derek Whitus. Let's go to Brian.
25 to the marks. Tom Long will be crawling in, and Derek Whitus will be getting out. Probably the most important drive of Derek Whitus's career. They're trying to win this race. Right now, looking underneath the hood, spraying some lubricant, some drying material on the electrical connections just to make sure that if indeed that miss is because of electrical connection, they're going to try to dry those out. They're not changing tires. The fuel is in, ready to go. This pit stop taking a little bit longer. And right now the door is closed and Tom Long is out. And Derek Whitus crawls over the wall.
Good call on not taking tires. I think that's something you could afford to do here with this much rain down there. You're not going to get very much wear.
Chris?
And Dorsey, Pierre Klein moving second in the championship, getting behind the 31 car. He just checked in with them. They said visibility is good out of that car. The only thing that Jason was talking about the racetrack, lots of standing water, lots of water running in rivers across the racetrack. So they told Pierre to really take it easy, figure out where that stuff is before you pull the trigger.
We also talked about Billy Johnson and Andy Lally, their potential strategy. Lally decided to pit top up with fuel. They kept Billy Johnson out. So very different strategies here. They're hoping for a bit more yellow. And with the fuel mileage saved that you get in the wet conditions, remember, you're rolling out of the power early, Dorsey, so you're saving fuel all of the time compared with a dry lap here.
Yeah, absolutely. You get a lot more fuel mileage doing it like that. And you see on board there Andy Lally right there again. He looks like he's pretty snug and secure.
You saw there a high five and a hug when Jason Clooney got out of that 31 i-MOTO Mazda. Pressure on that guy. He's carrying the championship hopes of Pierre Klein-Ubing. That was a gutsy drive in difficult conditions. Hey, speaking of a gutsy drive, what about Derek Whitus, championship leader? He's just handed over to this man here, Tom Long. Let's go to the Freedom Autosport camp. Brian?
And I've got Derek standing out in the rain. I'm not sure I want to step out there with him. Fantastic drive. If you look back at your career, and I know we got a long way to go, is this not the most important drive that you've ever put in some of the most difficult conditions you've ever faced?
It's crazy out there. I mean, anytime you come to Lime Rock, they call it the bull ring for a reason. So to add water and oil to it just makes it absolutely insane. But if you've got to ask for any car that Mazda MX-5 that hugs the corners and gets around the track better than anything else, is definitely the car to have. And these guys here at Freedom have given us a great car. We got Liam Dwyer with us, our wounded Marine that is walking around helping us out this weekend. It's just a way to say thanks to all the veterans and the troops.
Hey, Rhett, get over here. Rhett Odosky, you just put in one heck of a drive, too, moving that car forward. Now it's going to be up to your teammate to take it even further forward. These Mazdas seem to be working really well here in the wet.
These Mazdas work great in the wet, in the dry. You know, Derek's a good driver. I'm the good-looking one. We've got Andrew Carpinello in our car now, so hopefully we can do. Hopefully we can place well. Hopefully we can win this race and win the championship for Mazda. And thank you to our vets and everyone that served our country.
That was an heroic drive. These guys, that's the name of the team, Freedom Autosport. It's all about supporting our troops. But that was a heroic drive from Rhett Odosky for sure. And under the pressure was his teammate, Derek Whitus. We are far from done. Stay with us here at Lime Rock. We're back here at a very wet, soggy and challenging Lime Rock Park in Connecticut. Lee Diffie, Calvin Fish, Dorsey Schrader, Brian Till and Chris Neville with you for the season finale of the ST class in the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series. And if you want championship contenders, we have got them for you. Billy Johnson in the 77 Compass 360 machine leads the race by 4.5 seconds, but Andy Lally, third in points and can win today, is second. Pierre Klein-Newbing, second in points, is third in this race. And Tom Long, the championship leader, is fourth at the moment, but a long way back. However, we've still got a long way to go.
Yeah, absolutely, and certainly for Tom Long, he had a pretty conservative restart here. The other boys were up to speed, so to speak, and he's just treading carefully. Top 6 clinches the championship, and that's if Lally or Klein-Newbing wins. So he's still in really good shape here, but Lally has driven a tremendous race, and Billy Johnson and that team really rolling the dice in terms of not coming in for a top-up under that last caution.
The other nice news, if there's nice news, is that these storms are moving out of the area, and we might start to get a drying track.
Remember Andy Lally here, while he is a multi-time Rolex Series champion, Andy's never won a title in the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series. The man who is assisting him today started this race, Matt Pombo, standing by with Chris.
Well, Lee, actually I'm with his brother Mark Pombo, first time back at the racetrack since he had that horrific wreck at Road America earlier this year. And you've been laid up in the hospital for quite a few weeks, many months of recovery. How is everything going?
And it just feels good to be back out here. I've had a lot of support from Grand Am, Continental, Kia, Infinity. They've all been on my side, just ushering me, trying to get me back ready. Unfortunately, I've got a little longer haul for therapy. I'm about 80 to 90%, so not to harp on it too much. I don't need to give too many details because it'll bore everybody, but I'm getting a lot better, just taking a lot of hard work, and it's a little frustrating that it's going to take so long.
Well, he's hoping that he's going to be back behind the wheel next year. However, he said therapy will probably be a year long, so he's bummed out because the 2013 schedule just came out, and Road America is next April, and that's his favorite track. He won't be able to run there.
You know, anybody who's ever had to go through therapy realizes that you can't fix yourself. You have to do these therapy, and it's not an overnight deal. You have to just put in a lot of hard work. That's what he's been doing the whole time. Good to see him up and around. I got to be honest with you. That was a really scary situation, and we're all happy to see him back at the racetrack.
Absolutely. When you relive that situation, you see the speed with the brake issue that he had down in the Canada corner. That was a tremendous impact, and really just goes to the strength of the cars and the regulations that Mark survived that incident. And here we look at the schedule. He wants to be back. We'd love to see him back at some of these events next year, Lee.
Let's go right to the top, and after, of course, always the traditional season opener, look at where we head to. Early March, Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. Roll your eyes down a little bit further. Road Atlanta is now on the schedule, which is super exciting. We're going to go back to Indy, back to the Brickyard in late July, and then you'll also see a new addition to the schedule there, Dorse, in your neck of the woods at Kansas Speedway.
A couple hours from the house, that's be a really fast venue for these cars. It'll probably be the fastest we've ever seen top speed.
There you see a combination event with the American Le Mans Series at Road America next August. Remember, the merger has already happened in 2014. The American Le Mans Series and Grand Am will join forces.
So there you have it. That's what 2013 looks like, and it's good to have the schedule out nice and early. Meanwhile, this car, the 80 of John Capestro-Dubets, has taken over from James Clay. Super job from James early on. And this car runs in the 7th position at the moment. It's Billy Johnson, Andy Lally, Pierre Klein-Newbing. Gunnar Jeanette has got that Multimatic Focus back up there inside the top 5 ahead of Tom Long, Andrew Carbonell, then JCD. Ryan Ellis is in the 8th position. Burrows and Miller, 9 and 10. That's how they run at the moment. Eric Curran has got his hands on that Porsche Boxster from John Weisberg and runs in the 11th position and is charging forward.
Yeah, and I think the guys are now starting to get a handle on this racetrack, Lee. And I think the weather looks like it may be clearing just a little bit. And now it can start to become fun. You've got a feel for the racetrack, Dorsey. You've got some rhythm. The visibility seems to be improving. The teams have made some adjustments. The drivers are making adjustments inside the cockpit. And hopefully you can just go hard here for the last hour or so.
Well, you're so glad when you start to be able to see again, and when you start to have enough grip to get around this racetrack. That Ford Focus we were talking about before, Gunnar Jeanette, that car was really, really quick in all of the sessions. Unfortunately, both cars got caught up in some mayhem early in the race.
Here's an interesting shot on camera. Both Freedom Autosport Mazda MX-5 running together to take you back to the top of our show. What is required for the 25 car to be the championship winning car? 6th place. Tom Long is running 5th. The sister car is running 6th. That's a nice little security cushion right there. And Brian Tiller's at the Freedom Autosport pit.
Well, you know, we talk about how these guys are battling on the racetrack, and nobody knows about battle more than Liam Dwyer. Marine and Freedom Autosport teammate, race car driver as well. I should also say the holder of 2 Purple Hearts, seriously injured in battle, but you're a race car driver. You came back. You're here supporting the team this weekend. 12 months ago, would you have even thought you'd been at the racetrack, much less back in a race car after the injuries that you suffered?
No, absolutely not. Actually, 12 months ago, I was watching all this stuff on TV, just dreaming about even getting back here. And here I am a year later actually doing this and being behind the wheel. It's actually pretty surreal. I'm actually very happy to be here, and I'm thankful for Freedom Motorsports, Derek, Tom, and everybody that's helped me out with this.
And the Semper Fi Fund, all of that is important to you, and I know that there's probably not a bigger Freedom fan than you, and you're here supporting the guys this weekend. If they walk away with a championship at the end of the day after this long, hard fight, how special would that be to you?
I'd give up my other good leg for that. It would mean a lot. Derek and Tom have put together a great season. Semper Fi Fund, being on board with them, it's just to be a part of this is really truly an honor to me, and I really want this to happen. I'm working up pretty hard today.
When I know that you said earlier that you can't thank them enough, but I can say for all the fans that are watching and everybody in this paddock, we can't thank you enough for the sacrifices that you and your comrades have made for this country. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, and let's hope for Liam's sake that the Freedom Autosport boys can deliver that championship, but it's not going to be without a serious arm wrestle with the likes of Andy Lally and Pierre Klein-Ubing, 2 tough customers to try and wrestle that championship away from, and we have got just over an hour remaining in the 2012 season for Street Tuner. Far from over. And all of a sudden, this championship is becoming increasingly difficult for Freedom Autosport. Tom Long has a Bimmerwell BMW all over him. That is the 80 of John Capestro-Dubets. John got a little out of shape just there. Now the second Freedom Autosport Mazda of Andrew Carbonell can get up there and mix things up with this Bimmerwell car. It's all about where the 25 finishes in relation to Andy Lally and Pierre Klein-Ubing. And at the moment, Tom Long has been dropping several positions. He's got to try and hang on. This is the ST, the Street Tuner class, the finale for the year. Tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern here on Speed, you'll be able to see the GS, the Grand Sport class, and its finale, where that championship is still up for grabs as well.
Yeah, JCD here, you can see him putting the pressure on Tom Long right now. I think this car is a little bit faster, and there he goes through.
Oh, and he gets a shot from behind.
He did, he almost parked it there and caught Tom Long out. Hopefully there's no damage to our championship leader right now. Can so easily go wrong on this bullring of a racetrack, certainly in these conditions.
A little more than a love tap there. I mean, that was a pretty good shot in the back he gave him. Caught off, like you said, Calvin, when he really parked for that corner. I was kind of hoping Andrew Carbonell in a 26 car would have gone up there and made it a little bit more difficult for the BMW.
Well, guess what? All of a sudden on the scene is the 04 of Mark Miller. That's the 3rd Mazda MX-5 you can see there. And all these people are not in championship contention, but they're taking points off Tom Long. This man here, look in the background, JCD, there he goes.
Now watch up here when he misjudges this and hits him, watch. Closed his visor.
Bigger hit than what it appeared from the outside.
Yeah, it was a
CD
big
made
shot.
a nice move there, but he had a little twitch on right at the entry point to the corner. He had to control a bit of a slide. Tom Long thought he was going to roll through the corner and suddenly just bumps him, Dorsey.
And Tom had gotten back to the throttle. He'd already committed to throttle early, and you see one of the Ford Focuses off pace, the 16 car.
This thing is heating up Pierre Kleinubing has got by Andy Lally for second spot in the championship. That is significant because if Pierre wins, that means that Tom Long needs to finish right where he is to hang on to this championship. If Lally was to win, he could drop to 7th. So this is really significant. It's going to come down to maybe a single point here at the end of the day.
And these guys, being Pierre Kleinubing and Andy Lally, have reeled Billy Johnson in.
Woo.
Check this out here. There goes Billy Johnson, the race leader. Whoa, that's one of the Mitchum BMWs. And that's the 16, the second Ford Focus for Multimatic. Wow, that was wild, Chris.
Well, one of the reasons that Pierre Kleinubing is reeling in Billy Johnson is because Billy Johnson, hey, we've got a caution right now, guys, so this is going to be very interesting to see what happens on the racetrack. But the situation with the 77 is they have been in fuel save mode. That car pitted very early on at the 20-minute mark. They are going to try and stretch this fuel all the way. This is exactly what they needed. They needed 1, maybe 2 cautions to make it, but also team owner Carl Thompson told me he's looking at the weather radar. He thinks it could dry out, which would end up bringing that car and the rest of the field in for slick tires.
Yeah, it's really significant is how quickly this racetrack, it dried out really quickly this morning, Chris, when it did stop raining. And I think it's a great gamble by Carl Thompson and the boys because you're in big fuel save anyway in these wet conditions. They decided to pit when Lally made that pit stop to top up with fuel. So a lot of different strategies playing out. This is going to be fascinating here for the last 54 minutes.
Here we go again. You got Brett Cephus in the Multimatic Focus, just tagging, I think, was it the 60 of Elevan Goulart?
Watch right here. Here's Lally. Here is Kleinubing, and Kleinubing gets the run through there, gets on the power, misses this spinning car as well at the same time, and takes second away from Lally in one move.
Super lucky escape for both those guys there. To Brian Till. Brian?
Well, you guys talking about strategy. If Pierre Kleinubing were to win this race, Tom Long needs to finish 6th, but the cars behind him, yeah, he's got a blocking back in 26, but the 04 of Mark Miller, also an MX-5, really closing in. I checked with CJ Wilson Racing that fields that 04 car. I said, you know the ramifications. Will you let the 04 go ahead if he's strong enough? And he said, right now we think we can help from the front. If we can move forward and help from the front and take the battle to the front and move perhaps Kleinubing or Lally back, we'll try to do that. If we can't get it done that way and it comes down to the last lap, well, we'll have to make a very tough decision.
It sounds like they're going for it, Brian.
Yeah.
I think that's a very political statement, but we're going to the front if we can.
And as far as the Manufacturers' Championship is concerned, BMW came into this race with a pretty handy lead over Honda and Mazda in 3rd. We'll let you know how that shakes out a little closer to the checkered flag. It has been a busy day at Lime Rock Park in this season finale where the drivers have had to produce their best in some of the most challenging conditions on track and in the cockpit. Look at Michael Gallardi here with a serpent that's trying to strangle his squeegee. Finally he gets it out so he can clear that windshield. On one of the restarts, one of the Mitchum BMWs got sent for a pretty wild ride. Nick Mancuso in the Multimatic Focus tagging that car there. Michael Johnson aboard and not too much harm done. This was a different story though a little later on.
Yeah, you can see there on one of the restarts they all get bottled up there down in turn 2. A little bit of argy-bargy spinning around, but fortunately they kept going. We remain green.
This is Red Odosky, and he was one of the stars of this BMW race recap with doing it there reverse sprint car style. And then watch this, sneaky up the uphill around the outside. He made up more than a dozen positions in his stint.
18 to 5th he did, as you see a car get up wide here. Watch, didn't get over with yet as the spin and into the guardrail backwards.
That was Ron Farmer. There has been slip sliding away all the while. Izzy Sanchez had this wild ride, but no harm done to that i-MOTO Mazda.
Yeah, it's pretty treacherous out there. And then we saw, look at this, the Bimmer World car there. Got by for position. Tom Long was caught out right behind him, bashes him. Visor shield comes down. He tries to regroup here. He's got a championship on his mind.
We are going green this time, and it's Billy Johnson in the Compass 360 machine.
Green flag, green flag.
You know Billy from the Roush Performance Mustang in GS. And away we go. He has got championship contender Pierre Kleinubing right behind him. Then Andy Lally, 2nd and 3rd in the championship, and they're 2nd and 3rd in this race. Tom Long, the championship leader, is back in position number 6, and his hands full. It's a big challenge.
He does have his hands full, and he's got a Bimmer World car trying to get down the inside there. This is really busy stuff, but look at Kleinubing. He has a fast race car. He's going for the lead. He's going for a championship.
Andy Lally not held back either in that 3rd place Kia. He also is in this hunt for the championship. Needs those positions.
Tom Long should be cheering for Billy Johnson right now, because if that Compass 360 Honda can stay where it is, it takes valuable points away from Lally and Klein-Newbing, which will help his cause. Got to try and finish in the top 6 to clinch this championship.
The big question mark, of course, is Billy Johnson and his fuel mileage. Has he saved enough with these caution periods to be able to get to the checkered flag here without a splash of fuel needed and a visit to pit lane? If Klein-Newbing can just get around Johnson, but Johnson stay out and remain in the top 3, that really helps Klein-Newbing. But if Johnson has to pit, everyone moves up a spot, and then Long moves up to 5th at the same time.
So the order: Johnson, Klein-Newbing, Lally, Jeanette, and then the first of the Bimmerwell cars. Let's go to that camp now. Here's Brian.
James Clay looking on, watching timing and scoring, watching the monitors. You guys, and especially in the 80 car, have been on fire here these last couple of races, really showing what this team is made of. I know it's not been the season that you've wanted, but as far as manufacturers championship to go, you're a big BMW guy. How important would that be to secure this manufacturers championship for BMW?
It's huge. You know, we're so happy to drive these machines. They're the BMWs are amazing out there. It hasn't been the same car every time, but we've always consistently been there, and that's what BMW does for us. You know, it's a little tight. Our team has scored 8 out of 9, I think, at this point, and for the manufacturers, and we've only got the only car in scoring position right now, so I'm a little on eggshells.
He's nervous, guys. He walked up to me and he said, you know, we thought we had the Drivers' Championship locked down a couple of years ago. It didn't work out so well. I thought we had the Manufacturers' Championship worked out. I'm a little nervous.
Yeah, and you want to talk about manufacturers. Look at this. You've got a Honda fending off a Mazda. Pierre Klein-Newbing goes to the lead on the inside of Billy Johnson.
Not enough yet, though, to make a clear pass. Side by side through the second part of Big Bend, they call it.
Look at that. Beautiful driving by these two guys, keeping it clean in very difficult racing conditions.
And look at what Andy Lally did. He sat there in case one of them made a mistake. He could have gone inside or outside. He's ready to take that position too. Behind him is another scrum going.
The next car in line is the 23, and that's the Burton BMW with Terry Borcella behind the wheel, but it's not for position. That car is not on the lead lap. That is 1 lap down. You go back in the order, you're then going to pick up a Ford Focus with Gunnar Jeanette behind the wheel, and then Tom Long, the championship leader. This is intense in the last 45 minutes of racing of the 2012 season.
Yeah, it really is. Tom Long has moved up to 5th, as has his sparring partner Andrew Carbonell. They've dropped JCD, John Capastro de Best, down to 7th. That is significant in this championship chase. That will clinch the championship for Tom Long and Derek Whitus if they can hold station there, but a lot of racing to go.
How about Mark Miller in that 04 CJ Wilson Racing Mazda? He was going around the outside doors through West Bend.
Well, here comes Pierre Klein-Newbing this time with a better run. He's going to get the nose in front. Now they'll do side by side again. Both these drivers got to really trust one another to make this work.
Yeah, and Pierre tried to carry a little bit more mid-corner speed, but Billy Johnson is hanging tough around the outside. He's getting good grip there, and then Andy Lally seems to sneak up on them, but I don't think he wants to stick his nose in right now. Klein-Newbing looks like he's got a little bit more pace, then he gets wide.
Those are two really good drivers, leaving each other just enough room on a very slippery condition to be able to run side by side through 2 or 3 corners at a time.
You got 3 pros here, 1, 2, 3, fighting it out. Let's give you an update because it's all about championship points. How do they look as the positions are right now? They look like this. Tom Long, Derek Whitus would win by just 5 points. Remember, they came into this final with 11 points. So it would be trimmed by Klein-Newbing, but not enough. However, we've still got 43 minutes left to run.
Difference between first and second is 3 points, so that 5-point margin would be down to 2 if Klein-Newbing can get the lead and hang on to it. Look at Andy Lally diving out of the slipstream there, just trying to harry these front two, see if they can force them into a mistake.
I really think he thought Pierre was going to go too. He was going to pop and go with him, but he was the only one that made that move. Might have caught everybody off guard a little bit. Look at the pack coming from behind.
I saw Scott McKee earlier today from Kia Motors North America, and I said, hey, deja vu all over again. A year ago we were talking about could Kia win that Drivers' Championship, and it would be so important, and he said, yep, it's just terrific that we're here again. It's a long shot, we know that, but Andy could still do it for the Kinetic team and for Kia. Here he is here. Pressure on, and as Andy has shown us so many times before, he's a specialist in late race moves. We'll see. Things are getting interesting up front. This is Mark Miller gone in the CJ Wilson Racing Mazda MX-5. He was in the top 10, and he has been taken out We'll show you what happened. Did he do it by himself, or was there a little bit of help? Help from behind?
Definitely help from behind.
Wow, the 76 machine of Nixon just sent him. Gareth Nixon said, see you later, get out of my way.
Just a stack up there as they're trying to set each other up for a run down that back straightaway. But up front, there's been a change here. Look at this. Pierre Kleinubing is through to the lead. Johnson trying to hang on to second. Lally putting the pressure on.
Yep, Andy wants to get through and put it that Kia Forte Coupe up to second place. Meanwhile, Kleinubing is getting away. Where is our championship leader? Tom Long is in sixth. That is still good enough to do it. He can still win, but he's got to stay there and maintain that position for another 35 minutes.
He cannot afford to drop one more position with Kleinubing out front. This is the threshold. He can't afford to drop a position anymore.
While we're away, Eric Curran in the Berg Racing Porsche Boxster had an off-track excursion.
Dent in the right rear wheel lets me know that he got into somebody or somebody got into him. You can see right in front of the wheel that the contact.
We talk about visibility. Look at this. This was at that point in the race, our leader, Billy Johnson, trying to wipe the windshield from the inside, but look at the windshield behind him of Pierre Kleinubing, completely fogged up. We're watching three of the best drivers in the business performing their driving to an art form here this afternoon. This is sensational stuff.
So next time we see that windshield on the race-leading car of Pierre Kleinubing, look at it. Look how fogged up it is. Meanwhile, Billy Johnson is still holding Andy Lally at bay. It's been some terrific driving from these guys. While we're in the break, when Pierre got by Billy Johnson, there was a little bit less respect shown this time by, wasn't there? Not as much room given.
Yeah, he just kind of leaned on Billy Johnson a little bit, and I thought, uh-oh, don't rile him up too much. Billy Johnson is a very aggressive driver. He'll forget about the big picture of the fact you're going for a championship. He may try and get back at you, but right now there's a nice comfort margin here of a couple of car lengths for our leader, Pierre Kleinubing.
And like you said, this is three of the best in the business, and they've given each other some respect, but they're running out of time.
Look at this. Gareth Nixon in the Compass 360 Honda is all over Tom Long, the championship leader. Tom Long has lost his wingman. Andrew Carbonell is 3 positions further back. This could be a championship deciding move.
This is it right now. That is for that critical 6%. He gets it
sideways up on the inside. Wow. Good move. He read that perfect.
Tom Long is mixing it up with people that he does not want to be. Gareth Nixon, he doesn't care about Tom Long's championship aspirations. He just wants to get that Compass 360 car as high as he can go.
Here he comes. He takes away that critical point from Tom Long. Right now, Tom Long needs a position. Otherwise, with Kleinubing out front, the championship will be gone. Wow.
Penalty. 76 again, a penalty. 197 coming inside. 197 inside, clear after.
Did we just hear 76 is getting a penalty? That's not for roughing up Tom Long. That would be for sending Mark Miller in the CJ Wilson car several laps ago.
Yeah. Whoa. 76 will have to do a stop and go. In the meantime, 25 right there. Tom Long just made contact with 197. He bumped him.
That is a huge break for Tom Long, but look at this. Pierre Kleinubing's teammate, the 30 car, Ryan Ellis, is now right behind Tom Long. This could again be for that critical 6th spot.
And behind Ryan Ellis is Andrew Carbonell, Tom Long's teammate.
I hate to say it, but Carbonell's got a job to do. He's got to get up there and get rid of that number 30 car. And whatever it takes, I mean, he's got to get him out of there.
Points as of now, Long, Whitus and Kleinubing would be tied. It would go on wins and then a count back on seconds and thirds.
That gives it to Kleinubing. Obviously, he needs to win today to get that second win of the season. Wow, this is tight.
Well, and Calvin, let's not forget that if Pierre Kleinubing can't keep that lead, maybe Andy Lally gets around him. That's going to play in Tom Long's favor. And I just checked in with the Kia team, and they said Andy Lally has really just been cruising out there. He's been watching Pierre, trying to figure out where he's better. He says he's better through the downhill section, but Andy feels he's stronger everywhere else on the track. He's just waiting for the closing stage of this race to really go after that top spot. Brian?
Well, we talked about the miss for the 25. Tom Long dealing with it right now. When it was very wet outside, it wasn't as big of a deal. As we talked about, you don't want a lot of horsepower in the rain, but as the track has begun to dry a little bit, the rain has let up a little bit, and horsepower becomes more of an issue. It's beginning to really show on the 25. Tom Long has his hands full.
We all heard it quite significantly missing down the front straight that time. There was no mistake whatsoever as it was going.
Tom Long has a wounded machine. He's trying to hang on desperately here. He's feeling the heat from behind. Different people, different laps.
Just sit and duck at the straightaway. It's where it's going to hurt the worst. That misfire when he gets down to the bottom of the downhill here. Watch, everybody's going to pull on him. He's running in 3.5 cylinders right now.
Have a listen here as he comes sideways onto that front straight.
Right there, you can just hear it ticking.
Andrew Carbonell is driving his heart out to try and get by that 30 i-MOTO Mazda. Why? Because that's Pierre Klein-Ubing's teammate. Klein-Ubing is leading by less than a second over Billy Johnson. Lally, championship contender, is trying to get by Billy Johnson and improve his chances.
And he's stacking everybody up behind him because, of course, Tom Long's car is not up to speed. He's not giving any quarter, though. He's going to try to do everything he can do to hold that train back, but with a misfire. Full course caution, this is actually going to help him.
It's going to help Billy Johnson too, in terms of fuel mileage, because I think he was still going to be struggling a little bit possibly to make it. This may get him in his window. Remember, he hasn't pitted for 78 laps.
My goodness.
And there's still 30 minutes to go.
Now this is for the one-time race leading car. The 56 race epic BMW. They got tangled up with a lap car earlier. This definitely could have been a race winning car. Jesse Coombs started, Jeff Mosing's behind the wheel now, and they were mathematically a championship contending car as well. It has all gone away for them in the season finale. How frustrated and pressured must Tom Long feel behind the wheel of this Freedom Autosport Mazda with that significant miss? To Chris Neville. Chris?
Well, he just checked in once again on that 77 car, the fuel situation, and this caution definitely putting them in a situation, putting them at least much more in a comfortable spot that they think that they can make it now. So they're feeling much more confident about that. But the interesting thing is all these other teams down here that were paying attention to that car and not thinking it was going to make it pretty much just kind of threw them out of the top 5 here, and that obviously plays a lot into this championship. So if that car's good to go and finishes in the top 5, could be very critical with these points.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. I think that's a big factor. And the thing is with this fuel mileage, it's really a moving target because it's hard to get a good feel on what sort of mileage you're going to get, Dorsey, in these different track conditions. The wetter it gets, the more fuel save you get. What's Billy doing with the throttle? There's really no telemetry with these machines for the pit crews to know exactly where he sits.
Totally inconsistent way of trying to do business. Not much they can do about it. When it's raining hard, it's worse, obviously, but we'll see.
And the stress, the pressure there, that is Derek Whitus. Is he going to be champion or not? 25 minutes to go to decide the 2012 Continental Tire Street Tuner Champion. And here we go, clear track ahead. You can see it's obvious the conditions are clearing up just nicely for the completion, the climax of this 2012 season. Who will be the champion? Pierre Klein-Ubing. Andy Lally dives to the inside of Billy Johnson. He doesn't want to hang around, and he hits him.
Wow, what a great save by both those drivers. First Billy Johnson, and then Lally had to get it all together. Very aggressive move. He realized the heat's on. He's got to make something happen.
The heat's going to be on in a minute, I think.
Yeah, Johnson won't be happy about that. He's going to give him a little up top there, right there.
Yep.
Look further back, look further back. Tom Long is trying to get by on John Capestro-Dubets in that blue and yellow BMW. There's Tom. There's Carbonell. There's Ryan Ellis.
Andrew is back left.
He's fighting for his championships, what he's doing. He's got to get those positions.
There's Gunnar Jeanette trying to put that focus on the podium for the first time.
Billy Johnson was glued to the rear of Andy Lally going into the uphill. Let's see what he can do. Tell you what, it's been a great job by Billy Johnson today. Bit of a difference driving this Civic compared to that Mustang that he's used to in GS.
Haven't said much about Gunnar Jeanette, but there he is, guys. That Ford Focus is also in the hunt now.
You know what? These guys, these street tuner guys, sometimes get a hard time by the standard of driving, the craziness that happens mid-pack to the back of the pack. I think the majority of the field have done an outstanding job in trying circumstances. Billy Johnson 1 second back. He's going to give Lally some of his own treatment.
Woo, that was tight.
Really close.
That was
right
tight.
there.
I tell you what, you're seeing some superb driving out there this afternoon. Look at Gunnar Jeanette now. He's coming after him hard. He wants his first podium of the year.
It's Andy Lally on your left inside the 10 car, the Kia in the lead frame right there. Gunnar Jeanette's sitting in a good spot for a best finish for that car.
It would be. They've had a couple of fourths this year, but they are trying to get their first podium. Jeanette is all over Billy Johnson.
Look to the inside, lets him go. Look at Klein-Ubing.
Yeah,
he is checked out.
Absolutely just driving away from these guys.
Nothing has changed with the position as they are for championship points. Tom Long would still win it with Derek Whitus if positions remain as is. However, we've heard some radio transmission from the 10.
And he says when they made contact, something
somehow, but something else is wrong.
So something's broke, something's wrong with my car after that contact.
Copy that. Clear by 5 behind you.
He's just got to hang on. He's trying to survive here. He needs a lot of help.
A lot of help, and he's got a whole bunch of hounds in his tail. Here comes White, the Long around the outside.
There's 30 cars inside of Long. That's another position. That's critical. Long drops to 7th.
He can fight back
That's
right
not
here.
enough.
He might be able to get up inside the inside. No.
This is the drive of his career. He needs to put in the drive of his career to try and get this championship. It's swinging the way of Pierre Klein-Newbing and i-MOTO at the moment.
Gareth Nixon is driving a superb race as well. Swinging that Civic around there. That was incredible driving.
That is an angry group of cars, boys, right there.
Oh, look at this.
Anything could happen. He's going to try to swing to the inside for West Bend. I think he might get this work done, and the Mini's coming too.
Long's getting buried here. Long is getting buried.
Hurt him bad right there, not getting that done.
The Mini's not for position. That's not
there's going to be a big one here.
Oh,
what a save.
That was a great save. My gosh. Whew. That was headed for the bridge abutment. That was self-survival that saved that.
It's been quite the drive from Mark Miller to come back from that spin. Mark Miller has got himself back into the top 10 and is now fighting with Carbonell. Here is the man fighting for the championship, Tom Long, with a wounded race car. That electronics issue, that miss.
Watch this. This could have been huge. This is the bridge abutment in your face coming up.
Look at that. Woo! What a save.
That was some good hands right there. Look at the upper left. Oh, he was headed straight into no man's territory. Like I say, that was self-survival right there at its best.
That was incredible. Tom Long now down to the 8th spot. So critically, if Andy Lally or Pierre Klein-Newbing wins this race, Long and Derek Whitus will not win this championship unless he can make up some ground here in the last 20 minutes.
This man's gone. He's checked out. Pierre Klein-Newbing's running down numbers that these other guys fighting with each other aren't getting done. Andy Lally's car, something wrong, he says.
Guys, if positions stay as they are, with Klein-Newbing first, Tom Long 8th, Long and Derek Whitus would lose this championship by 1 point.
Oh, boy.
Well, also, if Lally gets up to the first position, if he can somehow get to grips with this race car, which he says seems to be a little bit wounded, if he wins, he'd also win the championship with Long in 8th. He just needed a 7th place finish to secure the championship if Lally wins, but right now Long does not have that.
And nobody's even close enough to Klein-Newbing to give him any pressure whatsoever. He right now just goes into a complete methodical way of going around Lime Rock. Don't make mistakes.
Pierre Klein-Newbing with the revolving door of co-drivers this year. I think he's had as many as 5. He's been the mainstay for i-MOTO Racing, for Glenn Bacchino's team. These cars prepared by Tom Badger up there in Raleigh, North Carolina. The 3-car team, can they pull off a championship? Andy Lally has got a persistent Billy Johnson in that Compass 360 Honda. But up front, it's the i-MOTO machine, Chris.
Yeah, Lee, and I was talking to Pierre earlier today, and we were talking about Lime Rock, and he was just hanging his head. He just couldn't believe what happened there, because this team has mechanically been running really well this year, and they did have some axle failures with that car last season. I think he said they had 3 or 4, but they hadn't had 1 this season, and they thought they had developed that out of the car, but it came back at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca just because of how tough that track is on that front-wheel drive turbo car. But he just couldn't believe that he gave up such a big lead. So to see things swing back in his favor right now, you know he's just got his head down. And he's won 6 World Challenge races at this track, so he knows it well.
And Chris, not to jinx him, but as this racetrack starts to dry, it's really hard on axles going up that uphill where you spin that engine up so hard.
Look at Andrew Carbonell fending off Mark Miller. Carbonell is doing everything he can to try and protect his teammate Tom Long, but it may be too little too late. Miller has got the momentum. It's 3 MX-5s all together here, but Tom Long, look at that, climbing the hill. That tells the story of how wounded that 25 car is. He can only sit and watch and hope that something happens ahead of him to help him. Welcome you back. Championship weekend at Lime Rock Park. Pierre Klein-Newbing for i-MOTO Racing leads the way by 3.3 seconds over Andy Lally. Then the 77 of Billy Johnson in 3rd. We go back to Gunnar Jeanette. Equal best position for that Multimatic Ford Focus. Gunner's done a nice job. And then there's a long gap back before we pick up Gareth Nixon, John Capestro Dubets, Ryan Ellis, Mark Miller in 8th. Tom Long, here he is, has dropped to 9th. So they swung the points massively, as Chris mentioned a little earlier. Some 29-point swing at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca to take that championship lead. And now there's going to be a massive point swing back the other way in the favour of Pierre Klein-Newbing with only 13 3/4 minutes left.
And there's nothing he can do there. You can see the run up here. He just doesn't have the speed. That misfire is really hurting him. And he's just backing up to the rest of this field. He is just hanging on right now. He needs a lot of help, Dors.
And Carbonell's been doing everything he could do from behind, short of push him down the straightaway, which would be the next thing I'd be trying, to give him that straightaway speed that's lacking because of the misfire.
And there you go. That's the face of disappointment. There's not a whole lot of hope left on the facial expressions there of Derek Whitus.
From a manufacturer's standpoint, I think Mazda, as a manufacturer, would be trying to give Tom Long some help, but they have a Mazda leading right now, which would clinch them the Drivers' Championship, so they're not going to interfere, I don't feel, today.
And manufacturers-wise, it's looking the way of BMW with JCD, John Capestro Dubets, in 6th position as the lead. BMW, they came in with a very comfortable lead over Mazda in that manufacturer's standing, so it's looking good for BMW.
And now the pass made, Jason Saney got by, and Tom Long won't be able to do anything about that now because he'll drive away.
Incredibly difficult situation for Tom Long. He's just got to be so frustrated. It's hard to keep your head in the game, Dorsey, when you're just being passed like he is.
Yeah, misfire or something like that. Around here it's horrible. This is a momentum racetrack, and you know, you'll hear it here when he gets on the straightaway if we listen in.
Meanwhile, up front, Klein-Newbing's just added another 1/10 of a second to his lead. 3.4 seconds for this man here over Andy Lally. Well done to Jason Clooney. We should not forget about him, who started the car, started that 31 car in horrendous conditions, and most importantly, delivered a clean, non-damaged car to Pierre Klein-Newbing.
Doesn't seem to be raining right now, so this racetrack may start to dry out a little bit. That might change the relative car performance between these leaders. See if Lally's car can come alive here in the last 10 minutes or so.
Still dark on the racetrack. You don't see any tire marks yet where the track's drying, but we saw it the other day, Calvin, that it dried remarkably quick up here when it rain stopped.
The Kinetic team will have informed Andy Lally of the position of Tom Long, and he'll know, if I can just get by Pierre Klein-Newbing, or if something happens to the leader right now, the championship would be mine.
For Andy, whatever he thought was wrong with the car, we haven't heard any more complaining. Look at this backup up on top of the hill.
Eric Curran comes through in the Bird Racing Porsche Boxster. So the story, the picture, just gets worse and worse every lap with every position lost for this man here, Tom Long and Derek Whitus.
Nothing the duo can do either. I mean, Carbonell's on his bumper. I mean, he can push him a little bit, but I mean, that misfire is just...
What he needs to do, you talked about it, Dorsey. He's trying to push him down this straightaway, give him a helping hand, but it's on the long pull, it's in the uphill section where he really seems to struggle for speed.
And you can't push a guy there because you get so light going over that hill. It'd turn the car instantly if he got behind it.
Seth Thomas in the 82 Bimmerworld BMW trying to squeeze through, and again Carbonell gives his teammate a little nudge just in that protective mode, trying to keep another car behind to help the 25's championship chances, which are evaporating with every lap.
So all Andrew can do is go up there and bump him. He's about to do it anytime he's got an opportunity while the car's straight to give it a nudge, give it a mile per hour or two that it doesn't have on its own.
Seth Thomas is a lap down, so he'll be respectful of that. Here comes Galati. He's been in the wars today. He's seen the rear bumper torn off. He's had 3 or 4 spins, but keeps battling away, sharing the car with Mark Wilkins here today, who was filling in this weekend for Kia.
Well, he's finally got rid of the squeegee. He threw that out the window.
Enough of that nonsense.
Galati is on the lead lap, and he gets by Carbonell.
Or does he? Contactor hit.
That's aggressive.
And it puts off Carbonell, all 4 wheels off, and he's going to come back on the racetrack.
And a year ago at this race meeting, Andrew Carbonell was forced wide there. He and Owen Trinkler got together, and it was a huge crash.
Big flip, huge monster flip at the end of the straightaway where you're really going fast.
Galati's car has come alive here as the track's starting to dry out. Will the same thing happen to his teammate Andy Lally, who's currently in second?
Watch this. These guys are running really close together. Tom can't afford to turn that car and get a penalty.
This is Andy Lally running second, 3.3 seconds behind Pierre Klein-Newbing. So with 9.5 minutes to go, it is looking very, very good for Pierre Klein-Newbing to get his very first Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series title. We'll see. We welcome you back. This is it, the final 5 minutes of this championship season. Pierre Klein-Newbing and Jason Clooney. They won the season opener at Daytona International Speedway in spectacular style. Can they bookend the season and win this championship? It may not be looking as comfortable as what it was several laps ago.
Well, we talked about this racetrack dry now. You can see a dry line forming. Who's the fastest man on the racetrack right now? Well, on the last lap, it was by Andy Lally by 4/10 over Pierre Kleinubing. He takes a further 3/10 out with about 5 minutes remaining. Does he have enough time to catch the leader?
And it is drying, like you said, Calvin. That's what made the Kia come alive. And you can see Kleinubing's car in the full tread situation is sliding now. Back end is getting big four-wheel drifts.
It's winner take all, Chris Neville. Do you think Andy Lally's got enough?
Well, he's doing everything he can with a car that is definitely wounded. Checking with the team, they said the car is better now that the track is drying, but his deal, having to deal with the contact from early on in the race, the alignment in that car a little bit askew, so you have to wonder, is Pierre Kleinubing pushing it 100% right now? Or as Andy Lally starts coming up to him, is Pierre going to be able to pull the trigger and drive away?
Well, it wasn't that long ago. The margin was 3.4 seconds. It's now halved, 1.7 seconds. Kleinubing over Lally. Pierre will be looking in those rearview mirrors. It's tense.
Got about 4 laps to get the job done, and he's close enough. And there's the call. Get him.
He's got the bit between his teeth. He goes faster again. He takes half a second out of the lead. It's down to 1.2.
1.2 the leader, 1.2.
This is what Andy Lally does the best. Kleinubing gets sideways.
That's what I told you. The back end of that car now stepping out, and here comes Andy Lally.
Folks, this is for the championship at the very last race meeting, and it possibly could come down to the very last lap.
The balance has come to Andy Lally in those last 10 minutes. I thought maybe he's got a bit too much understeer, but what that relates to, he's got good traction. He's getting the power down off these corners right now.
And what if they get together? Where does that leave Derek Whitus? If they should take each other out, he's still a ways back, isn't he?
Well, Tom Long is down in 10th position. We'll do those points possibilities if we have to.
Look at Lally dropping wheels to the outside of that uphill corner. That's 2 times in a row now. He's taking some more time off again, Calvin.
They've won multiple championships over the years. Pierre Kleinubing has won multiple kart championships, touring car championships down in Brazil. 4-time World Challenge champion. Can he hang on today?
And they're just talking. There's Glenn Bacchino. There's Glenn Bacchino on the right. And the call's gone out. It's your championship if you want it. Go and get it. It's less than a second. Lally is as close as he's been.
He's going to have at least 2 more laps around here if the time's out right.
You had a great point, Dorsey. If these two get too ugly, can suddenly Whitus and Long nip in for this championship? They'd have to take each other out or drop many positions. If either one of these cars wins, they clinch the championship.
Kleinubing's not going to make it easy to get by, and Andy Lally wants his championship bad.
Well, Dorsey, I was thinking that Pierre was maybe saving a little something for the end of the race, but just checked with the team, and they said he is pushing it as hard as he can. As this track is drying, the car just not working, not doing what he wants, and that's Andy Lally tracking him down with a wounded car.
Can Kia do it again? Kinetic with this Kia Forte Coupe. Last year it was Nick Johnson. Nick has been Andy's teammate all year. Down the inside, is he close enough? No!
But he will be when he gets to turn 1, I believe.
Look at this, the entry of these corners. Pierre's getting really loose. This should allow Andy to have a little bit of a run on him.
Giving him 2 laps to go right here. 2 more times around for Andy to find a way by.
Inside, is he close enough? It's going to go deep on the brakes. This is where he made the move on Billy Johnson. Not this time.
Got to keep it clean, though. You can't afford to get a penalty. He needs to make a clean move on Pierre Kleinubing. But you know, on that last lap, he's going to do whatever it takes.
Tries the inside here, but gets in the grass.
That cost him. That cost him a couple of tenths right there.
He's lucky he caught that. When he got in the mud, now he's gone through the puddle.
1.5 laps to go. Can you believe it? When we started in January, would you have ever believed that the championship would come down to the final lap at Lime Rock Park, the first time we've ever had the season finale here? And what a race to decide the ST Championship.
They are going to get 1 to go. You see 51 seconds at the top of the screen. They're working West Bend, headed toward the start-finish line.
Tom Long still sits in 10th. He's out of either one of these cars and bring it to the checkered flag first. Talk about put it all on the line. This defines it. 1 lap to go.
That was Matt Pombo, the man who started this race in the 10 for Andy Lally. Can Pierre Kleinubing hold on? Is Andy Lally going to make the move? This is your chance, bud. Go and get it, was the radio call. Last lap of the 2012 season.
Here comes Andy.
Inside.
He's going to try to work that pier. He'll never let that open.
There's some traffic up ahead. I don't think it's going to be a factor. This is going to be desperate.
He'll try for the left-hander here again. He'll try to get inside if he can. Nope, not yet.
He's Got to try and figure this out because Kleinubing is really quick through the uphill. Will Lally dive to the inside here?
Can't do it.
I tried the uphill, trying to work the inside for West Bend if it was me at this point.
Kleinubing's been really quick, though, on the entry here, Dawes.
Down the no-name straight to the uphill. They're running out of time. Is it defense or attack?
Oh,
It's
he
going to be
got
better.
Lally got in there really hard, had to save it.
The i-MOTO boys are clapping. The Kinetic guys are cheering. This is tense. The final 2 corners of the 2012 season. Is it going to be Mazda or Kia? Is it going to be Kleinubing or Lally? Lally may have a run.
Look at the left front wheel bent way over on Lally's car. There's this problem right there.
It's going to be Pierre Kleinubing in the i-MOTO Mazda Speed 3. Kleinubing does it. Wow. Great hold off. He becomes the 2012 ST champion in the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge.
I saw it on the downhill. Andy Lally's left front wheel had positive camber and a bunch of it.
What a drive by...
Wow. That was huge.
See it again right there. If you see something, whatever broke on that car, it just kept getting worse. Andy Lally's got a wheel on the left front that's sticking way out.
Well, remember, he got up on that curb, had that contact with Billy Johnson down in turn 1 about 30 minutes before the end of this race. Maybe that made the difference. What a drive by both of those guys. That was superb.
Absolutely spectacular drive by 2 guys that have respect for one another and showed what it's supposed to be done like. That left front wheel, when you see it go up the uphill, it's just junk.
And spare a thought for Tom Long and Derek Whitus, who came into this race with a championship lead. They've had an electrical glitch that has caused the car to miss, and they finish in the top 10. They finish in 10th position, but that was not quite enough. How about that? i-MOTO and their driver, Pierre Kleinubing, champions. Team owner Glenn McKeno, they're thrilled. Well, it's time to celebrate. It's time to congratulate as we welcome you back to Lime Rock Park. And Chris Neville, it's pretty good when you're a race winner and a championship winner, right?
Yeah, he got them both today. He gets the win and the championship. Think about the months, the miles that we've raced, the elements today, the rain, the dry, and it came down to that last couple corners. Pierre, you've won a lot of championships in your career, but this is your first Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Championship.
And probably the most exciting too. Oh my gosh, man. Lally was coming in. I had a car in the rain, I knew that, but when it dried out, I definitely had nothing for them. And he was coming, but thank God, just enough laps for me to hold on.
I remember looking at you at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca when you had the failure with the car and you just had despair on your face. You thought it was all over. Did you think it could swing back this way?
Well, you never give up in racing. I learned that a long time ago. I won a few championships in the last race. I lost a few there too. So with this team, i-MOTO, unbelievable. The Continental Tire is all done perfectly. You know, we have plenty of car in the end. Mazda, fantastic job supporting us all these years. Unbelievable. We got it done.
And Jason, you're not going to be able to share this championship with him because you missed 3 races this year, but you get the win today, and you had the win at the beginning of the year.
Yes, thank you very much. I was just so happy to see Pierre win the championship, and I'm really happy to be a part of it for him. We were together for 8 races this year, and I wish it could have been more, but you know, I love driving this race car, I love driving with Pierre, and I love driving on Continental tires.
Wow, what a year for this team, and what a way to finish this championship.
Second place, Matt Pombo, Andy Lally. And Matt, let's talk to you first. Obviously, a lot of pressure on your shoulders filling Nick Janssen's shoes when you came in. How much pressure did you feel when you started this race?
Well, it was great. The donorshoes.org, you know, Infinity Audio Kia Forte Coupe drove great. You know, all I did a good job of was fogging up the window for Andy. So I know it was tough. The conditions were really rough, but you need to talk to this guy. He did a fantastic job. This team is awesome. You know, we made a run. We gave everything we could, and we came up a tick short this time, but we got a lot to be proud of.
A lot to be proud of. And Andy Lally, I've known you for years, and the first words I heard you say when you got out of the car was, "I'm sorry." And it just shocks me to hear that. I know what a competitor you are and how much you wanted to win, but I don't think anybody could have given it any harder shot than you did today.
We tried so hard, and this Kinetic Motorsports group with this this Kia Forte has made this thing fast, and the conditions were so freaky out there, and I had to adjust, and I was trying to pitch the thing in, and we were tight, so I was trying to pitch it in and get it loose, and it was really loose when I would do that, and I just feel so bad. These guys, I know these guys have worked so hard for this, and they did a good job. Our Continental Tires did a good job here this weekend, and they held up under drying conditions here, but got to thank my teammates. I got to give an I'm sorry to Billy, because I gave him a pretty hard door on that restart, and he could have easily taken me out in the the next corner there. But also congrats to Pierre and the guys in the Mazda that won the championship there. It's as slim as it gets. You know, if we'd have won the championship. If we finished second, we finished third in the championship. So tight. I've been a part of these before. I've been on the winning end and the losing end, but this is going to hurt for a while. Just look forward to next year, come back with these guys, win this championship.
Well, we'll definitely see him back and see him strong next year, I'm sure, Lee.
Yeah, he really drove his heart out, didn't he, Andy Lally? Let's have a look at the results. There you have it, Jason Clooney, Pierre Klein-Ubing. A win got Pierre the championship win. Well done. Equal best result for James Guay and Gunnar Jeanette in that car. Pretty good from Telenius and Nixon as well. And final championship points, 3 was enough to get it done over Derek Whitus and Tom Long, who in the end, Chris, still finished in second place in the championship.
Yeah, they finished second in the championship, but obviously not happy about that. And Tom, you really had your hands full. You were in a position to win the championship, but the car just wasn't there for you.
Yeah, I mean, these Freedom Autosports guys did an awesome job this season. You know, it's the season isn't comprised of one race; it's comprised of a whole year, and you know, it's just tough when you're looking forward to a home track like this for you, where the Mazdas have done so well. And Derek Whitus led it off with an awesome start, just top 2 all day, and just the mist developed worse and worse, and nothing we could do but just have a wingman, and the 26 car engine just helped us out, but nothing we could do about it.
Well, we know this team will come back swinging hard next year.
Certainly, they will. What an effort from those guys. Dorse, we've got to wrap it up. Quick thoughts on the ST Championship this year.
Started with a bang, ended with a bang. That was a totally enjoyable year. Hats off to all the guys. They put on a great show every place they went.
In conditions like this, the cream rises to the top. We saw 2 of the best there going for a championship through the final few laps. Pierre Klein-Ubing, congratulations. Andy Lally, what a job in finishing second today.